in a funny way to do these movies, and I mean I've been through this on Gladiator. You have to figure out a timelessness to it.
Yes.
You cannot say I remember on Gladiator right at the beginning somebody saying, oh yeah, well we should research the music of Rome. It's meaningless. It's sort of meaningless, and we're not historians, but and it's more to figure out an emotional connection to that time. And I think in a peculiar way, I think I did by having, by doing something as simple as going, hang on a second, there's a pub on every street corner and somebody's playing an out-of-tune piano. By not being precious about things, by being extravagantly extrovert in a way, and the idea of, rather than the homogeneous sound of the orchestra, that it was opinionated and it was polarizing, and there were conversations that went on with the producers or the powers at the studio. Will this work? Will this not work? And actually, them going as far as previewing the movie to see if the music was going to work.
Well, what struck me, and I'm being honest about this, I'm not blowing smoke. What struck me as I was watching it was how effectively you were managing the transitions in tone by telling the audience how to feel. In this case, the movie goes all over the place.
Absolutely, but look. Let's not for a moment underestimate, a guy who was straight away into this idea. I mean, very much bought into this. And
how much did you end up getting away with then?
Everything. I mean, down to the most, the big. One big stumbling block was, we have a big explosion scene, etc., and I scored it with a solo violin, and there was a lot of resistance to this until we got to the preview, and literally, we get to the explosion scene, and a complete stranger next to me goes, "That's brilliant," and I'm going, "Go and tell him," Because at the end of the day, with all my pretend craziness, with all my pretend whatever, I still know that I have a job to do. I have to deliver a movie that isn't, Schoenbergian avant-garde. That's not what we're doing right now. We're doing a comedy.
But after 100 films, you have is that the right number?
Something like that. It's more than that, but who's counting?
You have the confidence now.
I don't.
You don't.
That's the amazing thing. I mean, look, honestly, I went to see Chris Nolan's movie, or bits of Chris Nolan's movie, as far as Chris had gotten yesterday, and I've been tossing and turning all night, going, I have no idea how to do this. I am not good enough to do this. I don't know how to do this. This is, such a conundrum. This is, and that happens on every single one. So
it's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe less so. Okay, but even with Guy, I mean, what now sounds like, it's just a bunch of notes and played with great joy, and it's a really simplistic score, really, and the tunes are on purpose really simplistic. But it took 7 months.
Now, do you come up with a leitmotif for each of the characters in this kind of situation?
Well, I wanted to come up with.
Is there a Sherlock?
Well, there is. Oh God, hang on. I have to find something to actually play on. Well, I suppose the easiest thing for it to play on right now is a piano. I mean, it's so simple. It was just literally. Being his idea and his quirkiness, and then, because I think he's actually manic depressive, so he keeps sinking further into, and he doesn't resolve ever, because if he can't keep going, he will be stuck in depression. So yeah, there is this, and that was sort of. That was the cornerstone for the whole thing.